Fala aí rapaziada, como é que vocês estão? Eu espero de coração que todos vocês estejam bem e meus amigos, estamos começando mais um vídeo no canal. Já vai deixando aquele like que sempre ajuda muito na divulgação do vídeo e se inscrevam no canal ativando o sininho. E vamos começar os temas do vídeo de hoje falando sobre o Sansão Dauda. O Dauda que hoje mais cedo divulgou que foi parar no hospital porque estava se sentindo muito mal e ele fez uma grande bateria de exames e dependendo dos próximos dias ele vai ter que desistir de competir no Arnold Classic Reino Unido daqui 9 dias. O Dauda que vem fazendo uma sequência muito insana de competições, ele competiu no Olímpia do ano passado, depois fez o Romênia Pro, o Praga Pro ainda no ano passado, depois se preparou para o Arnold Ohio, então talvez, ele ter subido em tantos campeonatos pode ter feito o corpo dele começar a demonstrar sinais de muito cansaço por essa grande sequência de shows. Mas vamos ficar ligados e torcer para que esse mal-estar aí dele, que fez ele parar no hospital, não seja nada grave.
Falando em doenças, Julio Gorila divulgou hoje em suas redes sociais que ele teve um sério quadro de dengue hemorrágica nos últimos dias, que além de fazer ele ficar muito mal de saúde, fez ele perder 9 quilos do seu shape. O Gorila comentou que agora ele já está bem, mas que passou dias bem complicados, afinal, a dengue hemorrágica é uma variável ainda mais pesada e perigosa da dengue, que se não for tratada de forma certa, pode levar até a óbito. O Gorila diz que agora ele está voltando aos poucos aos treinos para tentar recuperar aí esses 9 quilos perdidos, e ele comentou também que após se recuperar, suas mãos e pés ficaram extremamente inchados e roxos, algo que também lhe preocupou demais, mas ele fez exames e parece que é apenas uma reação dos medicamentos dos tratamentos. Enfim rapaziada, desejamos que o Gorila tenha uma ótima recuperação.
Mudando de assunto e falando do Ramondino, o Ramon recentemente mostrou seu shape no Rebote após o Arnold Classic Ohio, posando lado a lado com o influenciador americano e atleta natural, segundo ele, Jesse James West, que é bem conhecido lá no cenário internacional. Bom meus amigos, quem nos acompanha no Instagram viu que nós postamos um Reels disso nos últimos dias. Esse vídeo completo tinha saído no canal do Ramon aí, entretanto nós fomos procurar novamente e o vídeo acabou saindo do ar. Não sei se foi algo temporário ou não, mas na hora da gravação desse vídeo nosso, o vídeo não estava no ar. De toda forma, esse é o físico atual do Ramondino após o Arnold Classic Ohio, com um rebote muito bem controlado, como o Ramon sempre consegue. E desta vez ele não vai ter férias. O Ramon, quando voltar para o Brasil, já disse que vai começar o trabalho para o Mr. Olímpia. E como faltam aí cerca de 32 semanas para o Olímpia, a gente acredita que ele pode fazer um mini off-season aí por algumas semanas, encher o seu shape aí, martelar os pontos fracos e depois secar novamente. Até porque ele já está com o físico pronto agora. Mas e aí meus amigos, quais são as suas expectativas para o Ramon no Mr. Olímpia de 2024? Comentem aí.
Falando nisso, saiu hoje o feedback completo do MANION falando sobre a derrota do Ramondino no Arnold Classic Ohio para o Wesley. Segundo o Tyler, o Ramon perdeu 4 das 5 poses para o Wesley. São elas: duplo bíceps de frente, duplo bíceps de costas, peitoral melhor lado e a pose clássica. Segundo o Tyler, o Ramon ganhou apenas os abdominais e coxas. Outra coisa que o Tyler disse é que a Classic só as prévias são julgadas, ou seja, as melhorias que o Ramon fez nas finais não serviram para fazer ele reverter o resultado. Segundo o Tyler, o Ramon subiu inferior ao Olímpia e ainda está errando em muitas poses, não mostrando todo o seu potencial, mas que se ele chegar maior como no Olímpia do ano passado e acertar mais poses, vai voltar com tudo no Olímpia de 2024. Agora confiram aí o vídeo completo legendado que fizemos para vocês do feedback do Tyler e não deixem de comentar as suas opiniões.
Poses. First up is the front double bicep pose. Now, here in pre-judging, which is where the judging takes place. Now again, guys, classic physique judging, it takes place in the morning. At night is a confirmation round where we re-look at everything, okay? But the real judging is done in the morning for a classic physique. Now in the morning, Wesley straight up nailed it. Everything was crisp. Every line was deep, okay? In that front double bicep, he is taking up more space on the stage than Ramon. His taper is just as good. His arms are even better. His chest is full. His quads are taking up the same amount of space as Ramon's, and the cuts and the lines are much, much deeper. Overall, top to bottom, he is balanced, and he looks better than Ramon in this pose. Ramon, for me, looked a little bit downsized. He also did not have clear separation in his quads. He also hurts himself with his posing. He does not bring his arms up the way he needs to bring them. He stops short. His arms are too low, which affects his taper and affects how his lats pop out. His posing hurts him considerably in a lot of these poses. Next up is the side chest pose. Now in the side chest, you can see Wesley made big improvements in his side leg. His side leg, his hamstring is now more balanced to his quad. Upper body wise, his chest was extremely full. His arms and shoulders were very, very big. And when you compare it to Ramon, he has more width across the top from shoulder to shoulder. His chest is thicker, his arms look better, and his side leg is comparable. Same thing here with Ramon. He likes to shrug his back shoulder up to try to push his chest over, which hurts him when it comes to his width from up top. He's always moving around in his pose. He does not stay static, which tends to make people mess up their posing. And for him, he definitely hurts himself here as well. Again, the cuts and the separation, Wesley had much more detail than Ramon as well. So right now, I have it 2-0 in poses for Wesley. Next up was the back double bicep pose. Now, the back double bicep pose in the morning, Wesley's back had a lot of depth. The taper was great. His shoulder and arms were big, separated, and detailed. Now, you go on to his lower body. Yes, does he need more hamstrings and glutes? This is definitely the main critique for his physique. However, in the morning with the conditioning, his hamstrings were separated and fuller, and it was enough for me to give him the nod in this back double bicep pose over Ramon. Now, why was it enough? Is because Ramon, his back, the width of it did not compare really to Wesley's. His depth was not great as well. He was pinching a lot through his traps, not opening up his lats all the way. I think that definitely hurt him in this pose. Now, lower body wise, his legs are thicker and more complete than Wesley's. However, again, the conditioning compared from Wesley to Ramon, it was pretty differentiated with Wesley being more conditioned and more separated. So overall, top to bottom again, Wesley won this pose for me, and it was 3-0. The next up is the ab and thighs pose. This pose I gave to Ramon. Wesley's abs are not separated and detailed like his. He kind of crunches down a little bit too much. So Ramon has great abs, especially when he blows all the air out. The abs are deep and separated. He pulled the vacuum pretty well, actually. Now, his quads still did not have the same type of separation that they needed to, but overall, when you look at the flow of the pose, he was better than Wesley here, which would make it 3-1. And then we get into your favorite classic pose. Again, Ramon hurts himself with this pose. He does not open up all the way. He doesn't raise his arm where he's making the bicep flex. He does not raise it up the way he should. He sinks down into the pose. He's not getting his lats out all the way. His quads were not as separated as they needed to be here. Wesley standing right next to him, his chest was full, his arms look great, his shoulder looks great, his width looks great, and his quads are separated and taking up just as much as room on stage as Ramon's. So 4-1 for me, Wesley took this from Ramon. I think for Wesley, the main focus for him is hamstrings and glutes to complete his physique for the Olympia. He needs to bring this trademark conditioning and fullness that he just brought to this show. I've judged Wesley quite a few times, and he has bounced around when he has not peaked right. He's done great, and he's done not so great. So this just shows you that we see what we see on the day of the show. It doesn't matter what happened previously. This guy was 7th at the Olympia, and he just beat the reigning Arnold Classic champion and reigning 2-time runner-up at the Olympia because he made improvements with his physique, and he nailed it on that day. When it comes to Ramon, I was able to find Ramon backstage and really work on him with his posing because his posing holds him back big time. It doesn't matter who it's against, any of these guys. He's not posing to his potential. Finally, I got to work with him, and it's amazing just backstage after the finals what a difference changing some of his poses made to his physique. But also going forward, he needs to add the size back on that he had. He needs to add more density, especially to his back. That was one of his main focuses. Width and density to his back, but just overall the size and the separation that he we saw him bring prior to this. He needs to get back to that level and exceed it if he wants to win and be contending to win for Mr. Olympia title.